What's up, guys? I have the whole place to myself today. There's just absolutely nobody. There might be one guy down at the very end, and I'm only guessing that because there's a Parks Department car, my car, and then one other car in the parking lot, and that's it. So we've come out today to get, hopefully, either sheep's head, a red drum, or flounder. And I won't cry if we get a trout, but the idea is to snag one of these species, snag, not literally, one of these species that is known for biting in the cold weather. It's very cold right now. It's like 40 some odd degrees this morning. That's not accounting for the wind chill. Very cold, rocking the George St. Pierre hat. Let me show you what we're using today. We're going with the tried and true classic. We have got a bucket full of live shrimp. Let me show you. Here we go. Look down there. Pull the aerator out of the water so you guys can see them. There they are, little guys. Easily the best bait for really any fish species on the Gulf Coast. You know, you can catch fish with a variety of different baits, but there is nothing that will outperform live shrimp throughout the year. They are the choice bait, and I am really glad that we've got them. And in case we run out or anything happens, I've got some dead shrimp as well as some leftover fish pieces from our last trip. I've come out with just 3 rods. This one, which is becoming my favorite saltwater rig, and we're using a popping cork on it. Again, another tried and true method for live shrimp. So we've got that one. That's going to be our main rod today. I've got our bait caster, and we'll be throwing some lures out with it. And just in case we run it into anything large, because the last time I was out here it was very cold, and still had a fish get cut in half by a shark. So it could be a sandbar shark. They're notorious for coming out in the colder months. I have brought our large rig, just in case. But really excited to get these popping corks out there. That's the main idea. I was told on the way up here by the lady running the bait and tackle shop that the sheep's head are really biting really good right now. So the bite report is that sheep's head are what's hot right now. So let's get some bait out there. There you go. And for anyone wondering why this idiot didn't bring his dip net, well, I just answered that in the beginning of that sentence. Let's get this out. So between the rocks under our feet and that little pillar out there, it's free tackle. Should provide ample space for a fish to feel secure. We're going to drop this bait right in between them. Now with a popping cork, the action of the waves will slide that float and those beads up and down and make that popping noise that mimics a feeding shrimp. But this is one of the reasons I like a soft action rod for this. You can mimic that as well to kind of accent that. by popping the float on your own. You just gotta be careful not to pop it so hard that you pull the hook free from the bait. Straight out there. I'm gonna let it float right next to that post, that lookout station, and then just kind of pull it out in front of it. That's a really good spot. That's a really good spot right there. You can see the break behind it where the waves, or I'm sorry, the tide rather, is forming that small break in the current. That's a good spot for fish right there. Let's kind of walk down with it. Float fishing is, I think, unfortunately, quite unfortunately, it's one of the first methods by which people learn to fish, which is good that that is something that's available, especially for kids. But people tend to think that float fishing is, of all the methods, is the one where you can be the least involved, when in actuality is probably one of the types of fishing that requires you to be the most involved. You have to control the drift of that bait. Watch that float, watch the line, feel the line. Constantly exploring depth. Well guys, we come down back up to where we started because we weren't getting any bites. I put out this big rod and already it is dancing around. Now, I don't know the caliber, quality rather, of the fish that this might be. I want to feel it. Yeah, there's definitely something picking at it. Got a piece of mullet out there on the end. Something pulling on it. I'm actually not even convinced that's a fish. Might be a crab. Might be a really big crab. Been having an issue with those all day today. All right, guys. Well, it is a big fish of some description. I actually don't know what this is. I set the hook thinking I would pull it away from a crab, and clearly you can see I've got a big fish on the line. Now I've got heavy tackle on here because sharks were bothering me the other day. So we are well equipped to pull in whatever this might be. This is a decent sized fish. He's starting to come towards us now. Yeah, he's strong. It's a strong, yeah, look at him go. Oh my goodness. Very strong, methodical but slow fighting fish. He's just moving from right to left. I want to get him a little bit higher in the water column. There he is. Now he turned around. I want to get him a little higher in the water column in case he takes us into rocks. What have we got? Is that a red drum? It's big, whatever it is. I think it's a drum, yeah. Oh man, what a good fish. Guys, oh, no rocks. There we go. Oh, he's big. Big fish, much bigger than I was anticipating. Oh, he's a black drum. A big black drum, nice. What a fish. What a fish, let's get him up. Let's get him out of these rocks. I want to be able to put him back alive. It's very difficult to do with black drum if you don't handle him just right. All right, let's hold him in that pocket for just a moment. Howdy, y'all.
Hi.
If I sound like I'm talking to myself, I'm just filming this.
You go ahead. That's awesome.
There it is, guys. That is a good-sized black drum. Very heavy. The size of the hump on their head is just fantastic. And you see the little barbels down there, the little chin whiskers, just like those of a catfish. That's what they use to find their prey. This is a heavy, heavy fish. I am so pleased with this right now. This is such a great catch, especially after having spent a couple of hours just on nothing, thinking this was going to turn into a blank. Now, I brought extra socks with me for a reason. This is why. I want this fish to live, so I'm going to step down into the water to let him go. So, you sit tight. Take the shoes off. Shoes don't need to get wet. Pants up a little bit. Here we go, buddy. Come here. Here we go. How to do this. You're just worried about slipping at the moment. And getting my feet chewed up on shell. There we go. This is a good pocket right for me to stand in. Oh God almighty, that is so cold. Oh, the thing I do for you. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is a good spot. I can hold on to him until he kind of kicks off on his own. Let him rejuvenate. The good thing about this cold water, typically colder water holds oxygen better than hot water, or warm water rather. There he goes. Okay, he's trying to kick off, but I want to make sure that he is strong enough to continue. Kicking off is one thing, maintaining himself upright is another. The last thing I want to see, all right, he thinks he's ready. There he goes. The last thing I want to see is this guy kick off and start floating up to the top. There he goes. Okay, he's good. He's good. You can kind of see him finding his bearings a little bit. There he goes, moving down. I really don't want to, but if I have to, I'll go out there and get him. All right, he's good. I'm freezing cold. Enormous sense of relief just kind of washing over me right now. A huge effort to come out here today and just getting everything in line. And you know what's interesting? Is I spent a decent amount of money. I won't say I spent too much money, but I spent a decent amount of money just getting live bait today. I didn't have the bucket or the batteries for the aerator, and putting all that together last minute, you know, cost a bit of money. And what should I get that fish on? An old, slimy, half-frozen piece of mullet from the last fishing trip that has absolutely nothing to do with any of the stuff that we bought today. But that's the way it goes sometimes, and you know, I honestly don't care. We're not done yet. I'm going to keep going, but I am so pleased to have caught that fish. Just, we started in one spot, we moved all the way out to the end, just nothing, not even a hint of a bite. Came all the way back up here. Interestingly, you'll notice, this is the Surfside Jetty Park, in case there's anyone watching this who's not familiar with where I'm sitting at the moment. The Surfside Jetty Park is one of two locations where the Brazos River deltas out into the Gulf of Mexico. It used to just be obviously one natural delta, and then the Army Corps of Engineers split it so that they'd have, you know, better access for a ship channel. And I want to say, don't quote me on this one, I think from the top of my head, I believe this is the unnatural delta. The natural delta is a little further north. And what you get at any river delta, especially one like the Brazos River, is that you get a ton of mud getting washed out, and a lot of fresh water as well. And while that can be detrimental to some types of fishing in some parts of the year, it can be incredibly good for others. Mud retains heat, and the retention of heat is going to keep animals active. A good example, it's not a fish example, but if you've ever seen snakes on the road at night, in fact, most snake roadkill that you'll see as a result of this, snakes will come out onto asphalt roads at night to absorb or reabsorb the heat that is being retained in the asphalt that isn't found naturally in, you know, the substrate like the grass or the dirt or the rocks. And mud retains heat really well, and fish that live in and around that are going to be more active in cold parts of the year than other fish. There's also a natural outflow of food. You know, you got to think these fish, saltwater fish, are going to feed on freshwater animals. They're going to feed on all the freshwater bait that's being pushed out this direction. You know, you find crabs all up and down the river, and that's really the best bait for black drum, is crabs. That's I read an article once where a guy said the 3 best baits for black drum are crab, crab, and crab. And that's about right. And I guess if you don't have crab, mullet works. But really, really a great spot. I mean, you don't have to be all the way at the end. Sometimes catching fish, patrolling in and out of the mouth of the river is just as effective. So I think my heart rate's gone back down. Although my feet are absolutely freezing. I'm glad we got that fish back alive, but man, my feet are cold. Well, I think that big black drum is going to be the best we're going to do today. Just having a real hard time getting anything to bite, but going home, considering myself victorious. That black drum not only saved the blank, but it was a spectacular fish. Very happy to have that. So we're going to pack things up and head out. We tried a few different spots. As you can see, I've suddenly changed locations. None of the spots panned out. So we're gonna call this one a one and done. Head back home. More coming soon. Until it does, I'll see you guys later.